I'll get the result out of the way first. It all ended in a boardroom that smelled like stale coffee and fear. My father, the man who built his entire identity on being the boss, was sitting to my left. He wasn't in his usual chair at the head of the table. He was staring at his hands, his knuckles white. My mother was next to him, pretending to be there for moral support. She just looked pale, her eyes darting between me and the other executives. And my sister, Clara. She was standing by the coffee machine against the wall, trying to look like she belonged. She was wearing a white blazer, an absurd attempt at a power suit. She looked like a child playing dress-up. I walked in last. I didn't rush. I could feel every eye on me. The click of my heels on the marble floor was the only sound in the entire room. I walked right past my father, past the chair he thought was his. I went to the fritty-reel head of the table, the one with the integrated controls. I set my folder down. "Good morning," I said. My father cleared his throat. He tried to use his CEO voice, the one that always made me shrink. "Anna, this is inappropriate. You can't just walk in here." I looked at him. Not with anger. Not anymore. I just felt a cold, hard clarity. "Actually," I said, "I can. You're sitting in my seat." That was it. That was the moment the axe fell. The room went dead silent. The man to my left, Mr. Dawson, I saw his eyes widen. He knew. My father froze. His face went from red to a sick, chalky white. This wasn't a family argument anymore. This was a corporate execution. And I was the one holding the axe. The person he had kicked out of his house just 24 hours earlier. This whole thing detonated at breakfast. It always starts somewhere small, doesn't it? I was at the kitchen table. The same table I'd eaten at my whole life. I remember the sound of silverware on the plates. It felt too loud. I was staring into my coffee mug, just trying to get through the morning. My sister Clara was scrolling through her phone, fork in one hand. She is what you'd call an influencer. Her entire life is a performance for a tiny screen. She didn't even look up. "Mom, Dad," she said casual. "I need more space for my clothes." She paused, took a bite of avocado toast. I've been thinking Anna should move out. I could turn her room into a walk-in closet. I felt my body go rigid. The edge of my mug pressed hard against my lip. I didn't sip. I just froze. Surely, this was a joke. A cruel one, but a joke. I waited for my dad to laugh. I waited for my mom to tell her to stop being ridiculous. He didn't. He just sighed. He flipped a page of his newspaper. I still remember that rustling sound. "That is not a bad idea, actually," he said. His voice was bored, like he was discussing the weather. "She is 23. About time she learns to live on her own. My mother, she did what she always does. She tried to soften the blow, which just makes the blade cut deeper. 'Honey,' she said, not looking at me. 'You've been staying here for months. Maybe it is time you got a place closer to work.' I set my cup down. The click of the ceramic on the wood was louder than a gunshot. 'You're serious?' Clara finally looked up from her phone. She gave me that smug little smile. The one that says, 'I win. Don't take it personal, sis. I just need more space.' You understand, right?" My jaw twitched. I felt a hot, sharp pain behind my right eye. "More space for what, Clara? Your ego or your designer bags?" She just rolled her eyes. "Whatever helps you sleep at night." I looked at my parents. I was begging them with my eyes. Show me something. Show me one trace of protection, of empathy. But they just avoided my gaze. My father folded his newspaper. Neatly. "Let's not make a scene, Anna. It is just time to move forward." That was it. Dismissal. I wasn't their daughter. I was clutter. I was an inconvenient piece of furniture in the way of my sister's new closet. Now here is the part you don't know. Here is the context I have to add, the part that makes this whole thing a tragedy. My grandmother had died 6 months ago. I was the only one who visited her in those last weeks. I sat by her bed. I read to her. Clara was too busy with brand events. My parents came by for photos to look like good, dutiful children, but they never stayed. Grandma and we just sat in the quiet. When she passed, she left me everything. The sprawling estate on the hill they all joked about. The investment portfolio. And the one thing that mattered most, her controlling 51% stake in Reed Holdings. My father's company. And this is my critical mistake. I want you to listen to this. I didn't tell them. I was grieving. I was devastated. And I just wanted to be normal. I wanted my family. I went home to my childhood room, to that breakfast table because I was hurting. I thought naively that they would comfort me. I mistook their tolerance for love. They let me stay because I was quiet. I didn't ask for anything. But here's the first warning I'm giving you. People who are deeply entitled, like my sister, mistake kindness for weakness. They see your grief, your quietness, your lack of demands, and they don't see a person in pain. They see an opportunity. They see an empty space they can claim. My sister didn't just want my room. She wanted my sodi place. And my parents, busy with their own lives, were just going to give it to her. I swallowed hard. My throat felt dry, tight. Fine, I said. My voice was steady. It shocked me. If that is what you want. My mother started to backpedal. Honey, we didn't mean. No, it is okay, I cut her off. You've made your choice. I pushed my chair back. The legs screeched against the floor. That awful tearing sound, that was the last thread snapping. Clara just smiled. Guess I'll start measuring the room. I met her gaze. I felt calm. Deliberate. Measure fast, I said. Because you'll want to remember the space you lost when life flips on you. She blinked, confused. But I was already gone. I grabbed my jacket. I walked out the front door. I didn't have a plan. I just had a phone number. I walked to the end of the driveway, my hands shaking. Not from fear. From adrenaline. I dialed. Harris. My grandmother's estate attorney. Miss Reed, he answered. His voice was always calm. They just kicked me out, I said. My voice was small. There was a pause. A long one. Then he said, Your grandmother told me this day might come. She said they would eventually mistake your strength for submission. My breath caught. She knew. She knew them. A car will be there in 10 minutes, Miss Reed, he said. And I will file the transfer of control for Reed Holdings. It is time. The car that pulled up wasn't a taxi. It was a sleek black sedan. A driver in a uniform got out. Miss Reed? He asked. He held open the door. I got in. I didn't look back. But I saw them in the side mirror. Clara on the porch, her mouth hanging open. My parents peeking through the window, stunned into silence. They thought I was defeated. They thought I was going to a tiny apartment or to a friend's couch. They had no idea I was on my way to the largest estate in the county. They had no idea I was on my way to become their boss. Which brings us back to the boardroom. My father was sputtering. Anna, you don't understand the complexities. It is business, Dad, I said. I used his own words against him. Let's keep it that way. You've been losing contracts for months. Morale is down. So here is what is going to happen. Clara from the back finally found her voice. You can't do this. You don't even know how to run a company. I turned to her. I don't need to run it to control it. That is what professionals are for. Like Mr. Dawson here. I gestured to the executive. I just decide who stays. And who doesn't. Her face went pale. She finally understood. This wasn't about a room anymore. Your father is stepping down as CEO, I said flatly. Gasps. My mother made a small, wounded sound. You're making a mistake. My father yelled, finding his voice. I built this company. No, I said. My voice was quiet, but it cut through the room. Grandma did. You just took credit for her work. That was the kill shot. He deflated. He knew it was true. You'll serve as a consultant, I continued. Part-time. I'll have HR draft the new contract. Clara slammed her hand on the back table. This is insane. You're destroying Dad's legacy for some petty grudge. I faced her squarely. Petty. You laughed when they told me to move out. You wanted my room for your closet. That wasn't petty. It was cruel. And now you're learning what cruelty costs. She had nothing. Her lips trembled. I'm not here for revenge, I told the room. I'm here for justice. This company has spent too long rewarding arrogance and ignoring loyalty. That ends today. My father looked up. His eyes were weary. He saw me for the first time. Not as his quiet, inconvenient daughter, but as his mother's granddaughter. You sound just like her, he whispered. That almost broke me. Almost. So here is the lesson. Here is what I paid for in dignity. Family is not an obligation to be mistreated. Family is not a word that gives people permission to dismiss you, use you, or treat you like you are disposable. If you are in a situation like mine, the biggest trap is believing that keeping the peace is worth your dignity. It is not. Keeping the peace just means you are the only one suffering. When people show you they don't value you, believe them. The first time, my grandmother knew. She left me that company not just as an inheritance. She left it as a shield. She left it as a weapon. She gave me the power to protect myself from the people who were supposed to protect me. I didn't just move out of their house. I moved above their entire world. And from where I'm sitting, they look very, very small.